Hi Virgo. We are still in Italy. It's very early in the morning. There's a deer in that field directly behind me. I don't know whether you can see that. Probably not actually. Who is telling his mate to move because I'm here. So that's that weird barking noise. I spent ages here yesterday watching them first thing in the morning, and one of them doesn't mind me. The other one's not mad keen. Anyway, we're going to do a version of the Celtic Cross for you today, Virgo. I hope you're having a good week. This should bring clarity. I'm finding it very useful. Let's see. So, card for Virgo, Page of Wands. I've also smeared my screen with something, so I'm not sure how much you can see. Let's go for it anyway. It's quite difficult, this light. And covering Virgo is the Seven of Pentacles. And the basis of the situation. Lovely, the Star. In fact, I'll show you these in more in detail as we go along. And in the recent past, we've got the Seven of Swords and the possible outcome. So I'll explain more, but there's going to be two outcome positions, the possible outcome and the outcome. So the possible outcome is the Fool, and in the near future we have the Nine of Pentacles. Lovely. And your attitude, Virgo's attitude in this situation, that one, is the Three of Wands and their environment. Lovely, the Empress. Your hopes and fears, Queen of Swords, and now the outcome, which is Six of Pentacles. Lovely, Virgo. Just going to have a quick look at the cards from just a general perspective before we start diving in. So we've got three majors. There are two figures jumping, well, three figures jumping out to me really strongly. Initially, the Nine of Pentacles and the Empress, and also the Star as the basis. And then when we add the Fool into that, that's really lovely. So, we see you in the beginning as the Page of Wands. This is your inner being. This is what's going on for you inside. There's a excitement, there's lots of ideas potentially, and a feeling of inspiration. What's occurring to me today is his red feather on his cap. He looks almost proud today, which is interesting. So that's your inner life. It's almost like you've alighted on a new idea that you think is going to be wonderful to do with work, I think. And it's really pleased you. There's a sense that you know what you've got in your hands. And then your external, crossing you in your external life, the way that this is coming into fruition for you is that you are putting in the work to bring this idea out. So this character, he he's tending to the land, and it is starting to bring rewards. Sometimes people worry that when is it going to come? When's the harvest going to come? But I think because we see you as the Page of Wands, even if you could be a bit impatient, I think you probably understand that this is a new idea and it's going to take some development. So you've taken it quickly into your being, and I think that you're working on it, working on something new, quite a lot of excitement, because in the basis of the situation we have the Star. The Star is the card of healing and peace, and we like her a lot. She has a little pink bird, I don't know if you can see, and that pink bird is the bird of, it's an ibis bird, and it represents a connection to Thoth and an idea of kind of poetry, spoken word, but also kind of dealing with the mysteries. There's lots of things that that bird represents, and I'm not sure what they are exactly to you in this situation, but I know it's very positive regardless. We've got the 7 stars of Venus, we've got her very open and safe in her nudity and pouring these beautiful waters from herself into her unconscious and then into the land is what I'm seeing today. So it's as if she can feed back into her inner being, but she can also use it could even be, what I'm seeing today is that she could be swapping, she could be taking waters from her, this pool, which is a beautiful pool of her unconscious and her inner deep depth of being, and she could be pouring those onto the earth, and maybe the other receptacle is pouring water from somewhere else into the pool. Anyway, it's balanced. I know that I'm probably being informed by that 6 of Pentacles that comes in your final outcome, but I feel there is a very happy sense of balance and peace and inspiration that's at the basis of the Star card. And the Star card comes after the Tower, which we don't see represented here, other than in the near past we see the 7 of Swords, which could be your short sharp shock that could represent a sort of mini tower in a way. It's of giving our power away, this card, and he's sneaking out of the camp. He's tiptoeing is what I'm really seeing today. Someone was pretty sneaky with their way of taking from you, or you were really unconscious about the way that you gave away your power. Maybe it was such an intrinsic, deep sense of not owning your own power that you did it without really even knowing about it. But it's something I feel that has started to recede, because we're seeing you turning up really in the starring role with these wonderful, strong, lots of strong female archetypal energy. And then, so that's in the recent past. And it might have been your little mini tower where you just thought, enough, I'm not doing this anymore. And then in the possible outcome, we have the Fool, a new beginning. And the Fool is absolutely wonderful. It's a bit like that. Do you see that big white sun? I don't know how it's coming out. He's leaping into this manifestation, or this new life, with great naivety, and it's not really naivety, it's just a freshness. He hasn't had all these problems written into his playbook of what's going to happen next. It's the beginning of the arcana, it's the beginning of the journey, and in a way he exists separately to this journey, so you can jump in with the Fool at any point. But he is a really happy, character who is probably going to succeed rather well. He's got his white rose of innocence. His number is 0, so he exists everywhere at once in a way. He's got a little white dog. What's really popping out at me at the moment is the green headscarf that covers his head with the red feather in it, but it's as if what I'm saying today for him as a possible outcome for you is that your higher mind is being very protected by that green scarf. It's as if your thought processes are quite pure suddenly. There's no tainted by worry. I was reading this book, Beyond Black. I finished it yesterday, and right towards the end, so it's in my mind, it's about a psychic medium and her sidekick largely, and the sidekick can be a bit kind of gruff, would be a polite way of putting it, but she's basically incredibly tough, and the psychic is apparently more gentle and empathetic, and she's trying to explain to her manager, is the way they describe her, this gruff, tough, cynical character, she's not dissimilar to the Queen of Swords. She's trying to explain to her that please be careful how you think and what you speak, because the psychic, the medium, is dealing with the other realms. And I'm not going to give you any spoilers, because this is literally just a little conversation, and it's a kind of strange episodic book anyway. It's nothing to do with the action, but it's a truism that the psychic or the medium says to her manager, you know, when you see those people that only think happy thoughts and only good things happen to them effectively. I mean, it sounds like every self-help book that you've ever read, but trust me, Hilary Mantel is not giving those vibes when you read the entire book. It's absolutely extraordinary, very funny, and quite very arch, very odd, very upsetting, a lot of it. But I would really recommend it as a read. But then she goes on to say, you know, the way she sees it is that if you think negative thoughts, would be a sort of modern way of saying it, not only do you then see out in the world everything that you have been programming your brain to look for, but she says the bad spirits turn up. They get attracted to it. Well, certainly what I'm seeing in the Fool here as a possible outcome is, with this headscarf being really emphasised to me, is that he's only thinking good thoughts. Well, we know that about the Fool anyway. He's looking up. He's about to leap. And it feels as if what you're putting into this program for this new part of your life is so relentlessly positive that there's no room for any more of this thievery from the Seven of Swords. It's lovely. And in the near future, we have the Nine of Pentacles. I need to clean my screen so I can work out whether you can see this. So the Nine of Pentacles shows her with her tamed bird. She's got, I'm seeing her hand firmly rested on a pile of pentacles next to her. She's in command of her cash. We know this about the Queen of Pentacles. She's well paid. She's successful. She has this little snail at her foot, and she has the falconer's glove and the falcon who's got this little red bit at the front. He's actually looking more like a parrot to me. So the fact that he's looking like a parrot, I want to say, is there a very good conversation coming around work, around your new project, that helps secure some funding for it, or that is the next step in your journey, which shows it getting more and more successful, to be honest. From that star, you know, you could have gone out on your own, I guess. You could be starting a new business on your own. She is a single figure, a very happy, successful, realised woman, and maybe you've started a new business, male or female, it doesn't make any difference. Obviously, I don't think I need to say that these days. But it's a happy incidence. I'm seeing her her cloak, her dress has these little outlines of what could be pomegranates. So that's what's standing out to me today. They're not filled in yet because later on we have the empress who wears a similar dress, but that's a much more elaborate detail. So it feels a bit like the wonderful beginning of a new project that's going to take some realising, but you know, traditionally the Nine of Pentacles would have arrived there already, but that's what's jumping out at me. And in your attitude, we see you as having set your sights firmly on something. There he is looking out over the sea. He's not unsure as to what he wants to conquer or where he wants to go. He knows exactly what it is. Now, it's potentially a long journey that he's got ahead of him, but he's rooted, he's got his red cloak, he's got this, again, a white band that I'm seeing around his head. I wonder if you can see that, which gives me a kind of connection to the innocence of the white robe, the white rose in the Fool card, but also the Fool's green headscarf that's kind of protecting his consciousness, bringing in only good allies from the spirit world, great thoughts, good expectations. He's going to get there. And there's some ships in the background. And he's rooted with his feet in a sort of, well, very rooted, those little red booties, a bit like our Seven of Pentacles. Feet turned out, firmly planted, a strong foundation for the next exploration, for where he's headed. And then we see your, so that was your attitude, which is very positive, very focused. And then we see your environment, which is the Empress. If it was a court card, we would be saying possibly this is someone around you who's having an influence on this situation, but because it's the Empress, because she's very linked firstly to the star, because her headdress has got those stars of Venus in it, like the star card, but also her dress that's now this more realised version of the Nine of Pentacles. She's another one of these strong female characters. She is, I feel you sort of, you know where you're going and you've sort of taken up space around it. I don't know whether this is literally that you've created a space in your office, in your home, in your head that is going to help realise this project. But it's happening. It feels like it's got a really good grounding, and you're now working with the seasons and the way that life is going to develop over the next few months to make this happen. I mean, she's so abundant, the Empress. I'm seeing the wheat fields at the bottom of her feet. Here we are certainly in Europe, we're in the beginning of the growing season. So this might suggest that by autumn, so in a few months, so where are we? So say, 4 or 5 months, there might be some real fruition. I'm looking at that lovely river that's flowing so abundantly here, which you feel could come from the pool of the star. See that on the side? It's all starting to sort of bear fruit in the real world. Traditionally, we'd say 9 months. However, that's what was jumping out at me. So if you're in the southern hemisphere, just think in 4 months' time, and so you'd be starting spring, we'd be starting autumn. So that's absolutely wonderful. And your hopes and fears are the Queen of Swords, another amazing female character in the deck, and she is the one that this might be harking back to your recent past with this sneaky devil giving your power away. She would not give her power away. She's absolutely not going to. So maybe there's a tinge of just bearing that in mind still. That you are wanting to stay very sort of focused and clear-minded about this project, about what you're starting new in your life, and you don't want to slip back into giving your power away, which there's just not any indication that you will. I wonder whether you're writing something, because she would write. She's very, very clever. I'm seeing clouds on her cloak today, which so I'm just going to go with what's going on in my mind, because that's the way to get this message that will be right for who's ever watching. So clouds on her cloak, clouds behind her, but descended almost to the earth like a mist. So either she's cutting through a sort of mist of misconception with that sword, or what I'm imagining today is the ability to change weather. Again, that's a bit like changing our mental thoughts. She's so clearly focused on what she wants. She's not going to put up with any nonsense. She's not misty-eyed. She says it like it is. You know, she'll tell you if something's wrong, but she can also kind of part the clouds. And because I'm seeing the clouds on her cloak, yeah. So I kind of imagine that sword going up in the air and just parting all these clouds, and the clouds representing kind of diffuse negative thoughts, these sort of spirits that might be haunting you from your past, your negative tropes that might go through your head. She's kind of cleared all of those. She's got this one little bird above her crown that is going to give her foresight, and she's got a clear sky because she's thinking so clearly. And yeah, that's mainly because there's quite a lot of weather going on around her, but she sits still and commanding in the middle of it and will not be affected by it. But also I think the fact that she's wearing the clouds suggests that she can sort of metabolize negative, you know, clouds being sort of the least not so favorite weather potentially. She can use it because she uses it with truth, so it can be useful for the Queen of Swords. Not only do I see her scattering those clouds of misconception and negativity, but with the wearing of it on her cloak, her robe, it's a sort of outer garment really, I can see that she can use those truths to help you. So you might want to be being really real with yourself, not head in the clouds, very positive but very real. So if there are any issues that you need to overcome, you need to think about them very clearly and use. It's almost as if some people don't dare go there, but if you're prepared to face the things that are more tricky in a project head on, of course you're going to have your advantage over everyone else because you've done the work that cleans situations up. And then the outcome is the Six of Pentacles, which is lovely. It's being paid fairly, reciprocity, being paid fairly for what you do, a lovely exchange and a flow of money. So the guy with all the cash, the merchant, is giving some to people who need it, to the needy, but he's also keeping some in his pocket. So he's not doing a kind of Queen of Cups in her negative expression of just overgiving. You know, he's probably quite informed by the Queen of Swords, who would say, yeah, you can give them some, but not too much. This might be about your energy, really, because I'm thinking of this book that I've just read, and I'm thinking of the Queen of Swords, who's a bit like the manager character in it. And she's always tried to sort of rein in this endless, abundant acceptance of the information from the other world. Well, she's not trying to rein it in, but she's trying to kind of create boundaries around it so that so that the medium isn't overwhelmed, so that she gets paid fairly for what she does. And yeah, it's interesting. So we had the headscarf from the Fool. We have this character here wearing a headscarf too. I wonder whether that's a part of the world, you know, because he looks very hopeful here. He's being paid. Part of you that might have been a little bit annexed or unexplored is now being paid, is now bringing something new into the world, is being recognized finally. And the merchant is firmly focused on him, and he looks quite paternal, and the guy looks very happy. So I think it's as if you've created some boundaries, or some healing has come around some boundaries that where you might have been giving your power away. It might be that you just turning up as the Page of Swords, maybe you are somebody who generates an awful lot of creative ideas, but you haven't been paying attention to them. But now you've started. Now you're starting to think about those stars and the star card, realizing that there could be a new path for you with the Fool, and putting the work in the external world so that you start to hone your skills and bring this project into fruition, give it everything it needs, so that all this abundance from the Nine of Pentacles to the Empress, the strength of the Queen of Swords comes through and ends in this lovely card of reciprocity, you being paid. I mean, the Fool as the potential outcome and the Six of Pentacles as the outcome is a lovely confirmation. It just shows the Fool a little bit further down the path. We see you leaping in, and then we see the goods coming from it. You know, you being recognised, a balance in the universe with his scales that the merchant's holding. It feels as if there is a balance that stops you giving too much of your power away, stops other people taking what you're not defending properly or keeping an eye on. And now things are sort of rebalanced, and there's more for everybody, which is just lovely. I hope you have a wonderful week. It's lovely that you stopped by. I'll see you again next week. Bye, Virgo.